These are stories about my reluctant and courageous journey into understanding and identifying my emotions and what I've learned. I'm super grateful for the questions you ask because they are guiding this fantastic adventure. This week's topic comes from Kim, who wanted to know how to change her self-view, which means this week's topic is about how does identity impact your self-view. In the first video, I talked about a time that identity I held of myself hurt my self-view. In the next video, I talked about a time I recognized how I was identifying in a situation and how it was impacting me. In this video, I'm going to focus on a time I noticed how I was identifying and I was able to shift my self-view. The next video will be the meditation, and then you'll see the Friday or the Friday ditty where I pull it all together. I get a little more poetic and a little more nerdy and make sense of the journey. All these videos will appear in the playlist, How Does Identity Impact Your Self-View? So, if you have a question like Kim did, comment below or DM me on Instagram. I'm Angela, and this is me making sense of myself. The question I'm starting with today is, when was a time you noticed your identity and then were able to shift into a helpful self-view? Well, I think I can even speak to something in the last week. So I was struggling and my identity was so I'm on a commission, and then we wanted to work on this other project with some other people, which I thought was a really cool project and is a really cool project. And at first they were like, no, we don't think we need your assistance. And so when I took that, the first time I got that message, I was like, oh, well, they don't. And I had all these stories in my head about why they wouldn't want to have the input from my commission, why they wouldn't want me. Like it went deep. And I think part of it was because some of it's around the social dynamics. The other part is that I had to figure out how I was going to identify in that moment. So I love that parable that talks about, is it good, is it bad? I don't know. We're going to find out. And in that moment, what I did do is I remembered that. And I was like, okay, I don't know why this person said, we don't think we need you. And it was interesting because I wanted to get upset about it. So my anger, which we talked about anger last week, but my anger came up, and then I realized, oh, but I'm telling these stories in my head. Is that really what I want to do? I don't know if it's good or bad yet. I have no idea. So then I thought, okay, well, this doesn't have to impact my self-view. My self-view is that I have information that is helpful to others. I remember when I first became disabled and became part of the disability community, and I also remember that I held my identity as that. Like, now I was disabled and I needed to be, I don't know. I was very hard. I think in some ways I thought, oh, I could only be at home now because everything I was trying to do, I was miserably failing at. And so the self-view morphed into something that was really icky as I took on these ideas. Anyhow, now it's like I could choose to take that on. So when, for instance, let's say somebody does something that's irritating or frustrating to me, I can either choose to go down that road or I can choose to be gentle and kind. And that's what I chose in this situation, was just to be gentle and kind. In fact, I didn't respond at all to this particular situation, even though I really wanted to. And it's like, well, we'll just wait and see. And then I got an invite. So that was pretty cool. But had I that whole time been telling myself how horrible things were, like accepting that identity that also impacted my self-view, and when I got that invite, I may have been super angry and been like, well, forget it. You didn't want me the first time. I'm not coming now. And I could have stuck my heels in the ground and been like, no, I'm not going to do that. So I think that is really hard to do sometimes, a lot of times. What effort did you have to put in to shift your self-view? Well, I had to I meditate regularly, so I think I did that, and I pondered a lot. How important was this important? Yes. Who did I want to be in this situation? Did I want to be the angry person, or did I want to perpetuate my self-view of who I am, that I am capable of participating, that while I cannot do everything other people can do, that what I have is important? That was what I wanted. And so as soon as I knew that I wanted to stick to the self-view of who I was, it also impacts identity back, right? That was really important. And I think that it is a skill that is necessary when, as just a human being, like I don't think it matters that I have a disability. I think everyone in this world probably struggles with this feeling of how is the world seeing me and how do I see myself? And I think that's something that we need to talk about, because sometimes how I see myself is not how the world sees me, which I think is really interesting. And if we don't talk about those things, then how is the world going to know, and how are we going to know? I don't know. I'm one of those people. I'll go ask my family and friends to take surveys to show me how they see me. And then I take a look at it, and is it accurate compared to how I saw myself when I was taking this, or was it not? And how come it wasn't, if it wasn't? So, I don't know. I just have fun with stuff like that, because, sometimes I don't think we know ourselves in relationship to other people. And sometimes we do. That's a really fun thing to do. So if you haven't done that recently, I highly recommend it. How does being able to recognize your self-view make a difference? Well, I think in the story I told, it talked about how, because I was able to stick with my self-view and know, well, no, I'm capable, I'm this, I'm that, all of those things, then I was able to take different steps. And then that person came back to the table and said, you know what, we really think your input would be important and we would like to have you here. And, a lot of times I used to get angry. Well, you don't want to hear me, or you don't want to this, or you don't want to that. I don't know about you, but when anybody comes at me, you, I don't hear it. And so I work really hard at not going at people with you. So, excuse me. I would love to hear from you. How has your identity been helpful to your self-view? These videos will be located in the playlist, How Does Identity Impact Your Self-View? I'm Angela, and this is me making sense of myself.